Welcome to Unit 5, which is all about the mole. Hopefully you have a bit of an idea of the kind of mole that we are talking about from the video that you just watched. It is certainly not this little guy right here, even though he is super cute. But it is a unit of measurement, kind of like a dozen or something like that. So anyway, in chemistry, scientists use a measurement called the mole to represent the number of atoms, molecules, or particles in a sample. If we tried to count the number of atoms in something, it is far too numerous to even come close to thinking about trying and counting, right? So we use the mole to make it easier to talk about how many atoms are in something or how many molecules are in something. The definition of a mole is when we talk about a mole of a particular substance is the mass of that particular substance containing the same number of units as there are atoms in 12 grams of carbon. And I guess technically carbon 12. So again, just like before, carbon is kind of our reference point. And you can see here in this little graphic, we are weighing out 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of carbon, and they weigh exactly 12 grams. So if we can put that many atoms of carbon on a scale, they weigh exactly 12 grams. So just to kind of get you in the right direction, a dozen things, that one's an easy one, right? We all know a dozen is 12. Gross is a unit of measurement, like when you're talking about like the dollar store, right? He probably buys things by the gross, which is actually 144. 12 times 12, like 12 packages, like 12 dozen, right? And when we talk about a score of things, you might have heard this in history. Abraham Lincoln in his famous speech where he was like 4 score. A score is 20. So when he talks about 4 score, that's 4 times 20 or 80. Okay, and so when we talk about the mole, same type of thing. A dozen things is 12. A mole of things is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, which is basically 6 with 23 zeros after it. Right, so an incredibly large number. So we talked about atomic weight in Unit 3, actually. Remember, atomic weight was the weight of one atom of something. It's that number on the periodic table. So just as a recap, the term atomic weight, you'll sometimes hear it average atomic mass. And so that's the mass of one atom. It is what is written on the periodic table, the number underneath the symbol usually. That's the mass of an atom. Okay. Remember, the atomic weight is AMU, atomic mass units. Right, you might have seen that, and we talked about that in Unit 3. So, like for example, the atomic weight of one atom of gold. If you look for gold on the periodic table, it's number 79. And you see there is 196.97 AMU, atomic mass units. That is straight from the periodic table. My L got lost in there, sorry. Let me find my periodic table so I can show you that really quick. Maybe I don't have one. Oh, here's a little one right here. It'll work. I get it up close enough. So you see number 79 gold right there, 196.97. That is the weight of one atom of gold. It also is the mass of one mole of gold. So molar mass is the mass of 1 mole, which remember is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of that substance. So the molar mass is the same as the atomic weight, but it is actually measured in grams. So for example, the molar mass of gold is 196.97 grams. Okay. And again, that is that same number from the periodic table. It can be used for both the mass of one atom and the mass of 1 mole of atoms. We just use a different unit, which means 196.97 grams of gold contain 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of gold. If we could count them out, we would see that that was 1 mole, or 1 mole of gold, just to keep it. So that many grams, that many atoms is 1 mole of gold. Chemists love the mole because the number of molecules in a sample can be calculated using the sample's mass and the substance's molar mass. Right? If you had to calculate something, would you rather do this calculation, 196.97 times 1 mole, or would you rather do 196.97 times 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd? Right? This is a far messier number. This is a far easier number, makes you happy. Right? This is a stressful thing. Right? So the mole makes calculations that chemists do much, much easier and much, much simpler to work with.